5 old reports of strange lights in the sky. Number 5. San Jose, 1896. It was alarming. "It flitted over San Jose," was printed on the front page of the San Francisco Call. Witnesses claimed that they saw a flying ship hovering over San Jose. One account stated that the strange light was traveling rapidly eastward toward San Jose. The light then changed its course to southwest, south, and then southeast. Then it disappeared behind the horizon. A second witness had a far more bizarre description of the bright object. He said, "It had a pair of wings which were constantly flapping not from side to side like a bird's but with more of a forward and downward motion. Beneath it several feet hung a ball of red light which lit up the bottom of the ship and sent its ray far down below." While people were coming forward with these strange sightings, the ex-Attorney General W.H.H. Hart stepped forward and claimed that the ship was a one-of-a-kind invention created by someone who was living in Cuba. The former Attorney General also promised the public that he would try to get them an exhibition of the aircraft, but no further details were provided in the days after the sighting. Number 4. British Columbia, 1897. There was a strange report of a bright, balloon-shaped object in the sky well over 100 years ago. According to the Herald, a newspaper out of California, the indigenous people of British Columbia saw the illuminated balloon shape but were unable to report it right away. When word got out, some claimed that the Indians' imaginations had been at work and that there was no balloon or other aerial visitor about. However, another report came in from Mr. Fitzgerald, a Caucasian male, stating that he and his partner saw a strange light in the sky seemingly attached to a monster balloon. They watched it until an hour after daylight when it disappeared. There were no known balloon crafts in the sky at that time and no one claimed ownership or origin for the sighted object. Number 3. Washington, D.C., 1897. As more sightings of strange lights were reported in the papers, people began to look up and investigate their own skies. Sometimes, they saw absolutely nothing and pooh-poohed the whole idea. Sometimes, they saw something that could not be explained. Other times, they scared the dickens out of themselves, seeing something that would later be explained. This is what happened to the folks on 19th Street, between Pennsylvania Avenue and H Street, in Washington, D.C. They started seeing a strange light in the sky at a point near the horizon east by northeast. It was strange that the lights that seemed to be engaged in a wild, hilarious dance could not be seen anywhere else. The people started to investigate the possible cause of these dancing lights and discovered that it was merely the reflection of the moonbeams on the electric wires strung high in the sky on the east side of 19th Street, and also that it was only visible when the moon was at a particular point in its nocturnal journey. Number 2. New York, 1898. The town has a rather ominous name for a sighting. Babylon, New York, was the site of a strange light sighting in spring 1898. Residents who saw the light say that it began at around 8:45 p.m. The light started in the east and traveled south, although sometimes, it seemed to be directly overhead. It was reported that the light moved steadily without stops and starts and that it faded in and out at intervals. Eventually, the mysterious light faded and vanished from sight. People who knew about the Northern Lights claimed that this mysterious light was nothing like the Northern Lights. Other people turned towards superstition and connected the light with the threatened war. Air balloons were in use around at this time, but none of the witnesses heard the sounds commonly made by this form of air travel. Other airships were being invented in Europe, with the more popular German Zeppelin having been built in 1895, 3 years before this particular sighting. Number 1. Chicago, 1901. A light so bright that it could be seen through the smoke and haze of a big city? This early report takes the sighting of a strange light with a bit of humor. Considerable excitement was created in Chicago last week by the appearance of a strange light in the sky. The excitement was probably due to the phenomena of seeing anything through Chicago smoke. While the article sounds dismissive about the sighting, Many newspapers from over 100 years ago had a snarky approach to reporting the news. Professional and unbiased reporting had not come into play yet, and newspaper owners decided on the overall voice of the paper. However, it is interesting to note that a light could be seen through the Chicago smog at a time when electricity was still very new to the city. Gaslight dominated the city from the 1850s to the early 20th century, and electric lighting only came into the Chicago financial district in 1888. No further news could be found on whether the light moved or stayed stationary.